Hello. Today, I will tell you a very tragic case. The reason I say so is because the two main characters of this case could have had a very bright future if this regrettable incident had not occurred. And the source of the incident is believed to be from their own home where they were born. On August 26, 2005, International Flight UA 835 from Chicago, USA to Shanghai, China, landed on time at Dongfang Airport. Passengers began the immigration process. However, during this process, they discovered a very suspicious man. This person was petite, presenting a passport with the name Ha Luo. However, it was clear that the information on the passport had been altered, and furthermore, this person was in an unusually tense state. Upon closer examination, the police discovered that the man was actually a woman dressed as a man. Customs immediately controlled this woman, and the police quickly intervened. According to the investigation, the disguised male passenger's real name was Tran Dan Loi, a Chinese student studying in the United States. According to Tran Dan Loi's confession, because her mother was seriously ill and needed to return home urgently, but unfortunately, she lost her passport, so she took the risk of borrowing Ha Luo's passport, her friend's. However, after further investigation, the police found that this girl was lying. The truth was that her mother had passed away, and Ha Luo was not just a friend, in fact, he and she were husband and wife. Ha Luo was living in Shanghai, and his parents rushed to the airport upon hearing that their daughter-in-law had been arrested. In the face of suspicion from her in-laws, Tran Dan Loi assured them that Ha Luo was fine, still healthy in the United States. However, his parents-in-law were still not reassured. They kept asking questions, but only received silence from their daughter-in-law. As parents, faced with such an unusual event, they naturally felt like sitting on a hot seat, just hoping that their child could be safe. Unfortunately, luck did not smile on them, something they could never have imagined happened. Specifically, just a few days later, on the afternoon of August 30th, in Lafayette City, Indiana State, USA, the police found 4 garbage bags containing body parts in a car parked in a parking lot. The next day, the victim's identity was confirmed, and he was a 28-year-old Chinese student studying in the U.S., also Tran Dan Loi's husband, Ha Luo. This information was quickly transmitted to China. Up to this point, Tran Dan Loi admitted to her criminal behavior. What puzzled observers of the case the most was that both were obviously very intelligent, former prestigious university students who went on to study abroad. Just hearing about them made it clear that this couple would have a very bright future. So what made Tran Dan Loi resort to such ruthless actions? Tran Dan Loi was born in 1977 in Chengdu City, Sichuan Province, China. From a young age, her academic achievements were excellent, but her personality was not very friendly. Almost always buried in books, she could be considered a true bookworm. During high school, she always had short hair, not very tall, wore glasses, and didn't wear the girly clothes that girls usually liked. It's no coincidence that everyone who knew Tran Dan Loi was impressed by her academic achievements. In 1995, she ranked 5th in the high school graduation exam in Sichuan Province, then enrolled in the chemistry department of Tanhua University, a top university in China. Even when she grew up, Tran Dan Loi was still very petite, only 1.55 meters tall, not outstanding in any way. Although she was a good student, she also had a fatal weakness, which was that she wasn't very good at socializing. In early 1998, while in her 3rd year of college, in an elective class, Tran Dan Loi accidentally picked up a ballpoint pen, which turned out to belong to a male friend from the same class who was looking for it. She then returned the pen to this guy, and thanks to that pen, the two from 2 parallel paths suddenly collided, and everything started from there. Tran Dan Loi thus gained another male friend. Ha Luo came from a normal family with parents working as laborers in Shanghai, yet he excelled academically. His personality was quite cheerful, sociable, and he had a great ability to adapt to new circumstances, which was completely opposite to Tran Dan Loi. After that day, and also due to having some classes together, the two had more opportunities to talk and interact. Then, on a cold November day in 1998, a group of students went stargazing, and Tran Dan Loi and Ha Luo were very excited. It was on that night that two ordinary friends developed a closer relationship, or what we call lovers. However, according to the memory of Ha Luo's roommate, he had never seen Ha Luo bring his girlfriend back to the room. Instead, Tran Dan Loi always had to go find the buffalo, going all the way to the men's dormitory to wait for her boyfriend to come down. Then, after the date, she would bring her boyfriend back to the dormitory and then return alone. Moreover, when his roommate asked about their relationship, Ha Luo just reluctantly nodded, seeming like he didn't care much about this girlfriend. Around this time, Tran Dan Loi's family was going through a crisis. Her mother unfortunately passed away, and for a girl who only had her mother by her side from childhood to adulthood, how could she bear such a shock? So from then on, Tran Dan Loi began to become more sensitive to the words and actions of those around her. This was especially evident after Tran Dan Loi received a full scholarship to continue her studies at Purdue University in the United States. In January 2001, she went abroad alone for her studies. At that time, Ha Luo also got accepted to a master's program in mechanical engineering at Thanhua University. Of course, they tried to maintain their long-distance relationship, but both seemed unable to bear the geographical separation. Therefore, Tran Dan Loi and Ha Luo planned to get married, and then Ha Luo would apply for a visa to go to the US with his wife. So, 4 months later, in May 2001, Tran Dan Loi returned to the country, and she and Ha Luo registered for marriage. However, they didn't plan to have the wedding right away, but to organize it later. After a difficult period of obtaining a visa, Ha Luo flew to the US to live with his wife. Their main source of income to cover their daily expenses came from Tran Dan Loi's scholarship. Their life in a foreign land could be considered very harmonious and happy. Their studies also went smoothly. Thanks to his excellent academic performance, Ha Luo pursued a master's degree in mechanical engineering at Purdue University and also had the opportunity to receive scholarships. Tran Dan Loi thought that once Ha Luo had money, he would care for her more than before. But she was wrong. On the contrary, Ha Luo didn't share that joy with her, not even a small gift. Tran Dan Loi naturally felt a bit disappointed. Compared to ordinary couples, Tran Dan Loi perhaps wasn't as lucky as other women, being loved and cared for by her husband. Instead, Ha Luo always saw Tran Dan Loi as a solid support so that he could rely on her for everything. Tran Dan Loi always picked up Ha Luo whenever he needed to go out, dealt with any car troubles, and even when it came to packing and moving, Tran Dan Loi had to bear it all alone. Ha Luo relied on his wife materially, while Tran Dan Loi sought emotional support from her husband. She hoped that all her efforts would be rewarded. However, with a situation like this, Tran Dan Loi might never get the love she always wished for. Gradually, with these factors combined with their differing personalities, the couple's marriage began to encounter more problems. So, by the end of 2003, Tran Dan Loi finally received her master's degree and had the opportunity to work as a research assistant in a chemical engineering laboratory. However, because she wasn't well liked by her colleagues, no one wanted to work with her. Her research work also progressed slowly, making her feel extremely pressured. In this world, there was only one person she trusted and regarded as family, and that was Ha Luo. It was for this reason that she was very sensitive, imagining that the other person didn't care about her and felt hurt. Although she knew her wife sometimes got angry for no reason, Ha Luo didn't care much. He thought that couples argued sometimes, and as long as it passed a night, everything would be fine, nothing significant happened. However, Tran Dan Loi's thoughts were completely opposite. She felt that her husband didn't care about her feelings at all, never thought about her. As a result, her emotions became worse day by day. One day, Ha Luo went fishing with his friends, and Tran Dan Loi accompanied them but didn't participate, just sat nearby watching. Actually, she wanted to try fishing herself that day, but Ha Luo didn't allow it. As their marriage became more unstable over time, Tran Dan Loi felt that Ha Luo didn't respect her. Arguments over trivial and significant matters increased between them, and Tran Dan Loi often resorted to violence against her husband when they argued uncontrollably. Sometimes Tran Dan Loi would ask Ha Luo what his purpose was in marrying her, and Ha Luo would just say it was because she was lovable. Of course, for a sensitive woman like Tran Dan Loi, he was merely responding for the sake of it. Even though Ha Luo had never cheated or been caught cheating, Tran Dan Loi still harbored suspicions. Resentment accumulated more and more in the young wife's heart. Then, on August 2, 2004, at 1:51 in the morning, she even forced her husband to write a commitment letter to her. During Christmas 2004, as they argued as usual, Tran Dan Loi, in a fit of anger, took out a hidden knife and stabbed Ha Luo in the chest. After being rushed to the hospital for emergency treatment, the doctors suspected foul play and reported to the police. Ha Luo later confessed to the police that this was not the first time such an incident had occurred, because Tran Dan Loi had been violent towards him before, but this time was the most serious. Therefore, the police arrested Tran Dan Loi and proposed to charge her with intentional assault. Despite Tran Dan Loi committing such a serious act, Ha Luo still tried to bring his severely injured body to the police station to bail his wife out with $5,000. He said that even if he went bankrupt, he didn't want his wife, who had started her life with him, to go to jail. Although she was released, Tran Dan Loi was still subject to a restraining order, not allowed to approach Ha Luo until the trial. She also had her passport confiscated and had to undergo regular psychological treatment. During this time, Tran Dan Loi stayed at friends' houses. Tran Dan Loi also told her friend that she deeply regretted what she had done, would take responsibility, and would never get angry or cause harm to her husband again. It was thought that after such a serious incident, the couple would separate, but in May 2005, after Tran Dan Loi's restraining order was lifted, they continued to live together as if nothing had happened. On Ha Luo's side, he believed that he and his wife could forget all the past events and start anew. However, for Tran Dan Loi, her psyche became increasingly distorted. Obviously, not long after, they quarreled again over trivial matters. It was around this time that Ha Luo realized his wife hadn't changed at all, so he made the decision to end the marriage. Ha Luo knew that in 3 months, at the trial on August 26, 2005, Tran Dan Loi could very well be convicted and deported from the United States, never to return again. Therefore, he transferred $20,000 to Tran Dan Loi's account, considering it to help her get by. While Ha Luo pledged to ensure Tran Dan Loi's living expenses upon her return home after the divorce, Tran Dan Loi began to plan to end everything. She connected with someone named Jack online, circumventing the law to buy a handgun and a few bullets for $300. Then, on August 19, 2005, local time, the couple had a fierce argument until dawn. Ha Luo insisted on divorce, even though Tran Dan Loi tried to ask if there was any way to salvage the situation, but her husband just shook his head. Ha Luo stopped arguing and went to bed, while Tran Dan Loi took out a handgun from the bedside drawer. So, on that rainy day, Tran Dan Loi shot a bullet into the back of her innocent sleeping husband's head. A week later, Tran Dan Loi found herself in a state of vague confusion. Ha Luo's body still lay on the bed. She stayed beside the bed until the stench of decay became overwhelming. At that point, she made the decision to clean up the crime scene at any cost. So once again, Tran Dan Loi reached out to the man online for help. She paid him $3,000 as a fee. With everything settled, Tran Dan Loi left the house. Ha Luo's body was fragmented, wrapped in 4 black garbage bags, and placed in the trunk of a car. The car was then parked in a parking lot. As for Tran Dan Loi, she used Ha Luo's name to create a fake passport with her own picture. On August 25, 2005, Tran Dan Loi was discovered and arrested shortly after. On July 10, 2006, the case went to trial in Shanghai. The suspect, Tran Dan Loi, was charged with premeditated murder. She appealed and pleaded not guilty. However, the evidence gathered showed that Tran Dan Loi had purchased the gun and all the actions were carried out by her alone. Regarding the reasons for committing this crime, Tran Dan Loi blamed her family for everything. She said her family had made her obsessed with the two words, divorce. Her father was a university professor, while her mother had a low level of education, so there was a significant disparity between them. Her mother always feared that one day her father would abandon them. Her mother also forced her father not to have any contact with other women. She frequently argued and quarreled loudly with her husband. Her father remained extremely patient until Tran Dan Loi successfully got into Tsinghua University, and only then did he decide to divorce. Her mother then had to live in difficult circumstances, without a stable place to stay, and later passed away. Tran Dan Loi believed that all these tragedies were caused by the two words, divorce. If her parents hadn't divorced, her mother wouldn't have suffered so much. Therefore, she didn't allow herself to repeat her mother's tragedy. Every argument with Ha Luo made her feel heartbroken and utterly helpless. Tran Dan Loi didn't want a divorce, nor did she accept the idea that her ex-husband could be free in the United States while she suffered alone returning to her homeland. She thought they should end everything together. The question arises, if Tran Dan Loi successfully passed China's immigration check, what would have happened? Would she have confessed? Perhaps not. Ultimately, Tran Dan Loi's initial intention was probably not eternal unity, but simply to make Ha Luo disappear from this world. Finally, Tran Dan Loi was sentenced to life imprisonment, but the sentence was suspended for 2 years. Additionally, she had to compensate over $62,000 to the victim's family. Due to good behavior, Tran Dan Loi's sentence was reduced to a fixed-term imprisonment. After several reductions, her years in prison have significantly decreased, and by November 29, 2025, she could be released on parole. Furthermore, if she continues to show good progress, she may have the opportunity to be released even earlier in the future. And this is today's case. What are you thinking? Let's discuss in the comments section below. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.